We're back on Best Week Ever. Katie George alongside Aaron Goldhammer on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. All callers join us on the Goodyear hotline. The Clippers are back in the series after a 132-106 win in Game 3 over the Utah Jazz. We're now joined by Brandon Scoop B. Robinson of Bally Sports. Good morning, Brandon. Thank you so much for joining us. And as of right now, Vegas says the Clippers are the third favorite to come out of the West. But after last night's performance and playoff P coming out hot, is it time to buy in on LA?
Good morning. I think if you didn't buy in already, you're behind the wheel on the cryptocurrency that is the Clippers in a good way. I think that when you look at what they did last night, did it really surprise you? I mean, first round, they gave you the appetizer, and I think we're kind of looking at a trend here. I think this is the drink or the drinks in between them bringing you your main course at Fridays. I think that the Clippers are a resilient team, and I think that they showed you last night. I'll be honest with you. There are a couple of factors that indicated why they got the win. Number one, the poor shooting, at least last night, from Jordan Clarkson, and also Paul George is kind of he's a couple drinks into this series, and I think now I think their momentum and their morale is high. But I think Dallas was definitely a case study on what the Clippers are capable of doing. I like their odds.
Scoop, who are the real Clippers? The Clippers from the first two games of this series or the Clippers from last night?
I don't know that I can really answer that in that way. I think I can answer it in a sequence of just the Clippers are a resilient team. I think sometimes when you kind of put a characterization of who they are, I think sometimes it can be lost in translation in the sense that they're still a consistent team. I just think that they just seem like the type of folks that got to play a few field-out games first and then figure out their opponent's strengths and weaknesses. And I think that in these playoffs, you've seen it. It's not your traditional playoffs where, guys are just winning, out the like you don't know who's going to win. I think gone are the days of just you predict that it's just going to be Cleveland or Golden State. And I think in this sequence here, the Clippers are proving to folks why they are a contender, but it's still not over. So I can't give you a definite on which team they are, but I like what I saw last night.
We're talking with Brandon Scoop B. Robinson, Bally Sports basketball analyst, and you mentioned that the Clippers are resilient. Do you think Milwaukee is resilient enough to tie things at 2-2 today against the Nets?
I think that's a different story. I think that when you look at the Nets and you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, when you looked at the last series with the Nets, the last time that the Nets went 2-0 and then lost was the last series against the Celtics. And I think that when you look at what the Nets did after they lost that one game to the Celtics, they won the next two. You had a water bottle controversy. You had Kyrie doing the Michael Jackson moonwalk on the Celtics logo. And then they took care of business. So I think comparatively, I think you could see the same thing today. And I think that game against the Milwaukee Bucks the other night, the Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks were shooting terrible. I think that particular game could have gone any way, honestly. I think the way that the refs called the game was a little interesting on both sides of the basketball. And I also think that in this series, the Nets are the type of team that needs some bulletin board material. And I think that the security guard controversy, as well as having a few days off, I think the Nets have had 2.5, 3 days off. They play this afternoon on ESPN on ABC, and I think it's going to be interesting. But I think that this is a different series. I think that the Milwaukee Bucks early against the Miami Heat swept them. They had a redemptive tour against the Miami Heat that were not the same team that they were last year. So I expect the Nets to close it out the next two games.
Yeah, regardless of the security guard, I'm not messing around with P.J. Tucker. That's just me, but I'm not as big as Kevin Durant. Scoop, what's happening with Giannis at the free throw line, and do you think it's physical or psychological?
He's the modern-day Karl Malone. Remember when Karl Malone used to talk to the basketball when he was at the free throw line and take more than 10 seconds?
Yeah.
I think it's I think it's a situation with Giannis where I think he's nervous. I just think that the NBA has to do a better job of policing Giannis's free throw shooting, uniformly, and not just pick and choose. The refs pick and choose when they want to give the violations for that. And I think that when you look at Giannis and you look at what he's doing on the basketball court, I think he's a tremendous talent, but free throws are not his strength. Perhaps he needs to go see a hypnosis doctor, or perhaps he needs some earbuds at the free throw line or something to kind of calm him down, because this is crazy, man. Did you see the video that they did where they compared how long it took Usain Bolt to win a race versus how long it took for Giannis to shoot a free throw? That's crazy.
He's 6 of 19 from the free throw line in the 3 games that he's played against the Nets, and not only is that abysmal, but he's also not getting to the line as much as we've seen in the regular season. And that could be, to your all's point, he doesn't want to get to the line because he's struggling so much just to make his free throws. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares today at 3 o'clock against the Nets in Game 4. Scoop, tonight the late game is the Nuggets and the Suns. What impresses you most about this Suns team when you watch them, who are right on the cusp of sweeping the Denver Nuggets?
What impresses me most about the Phoenix Suns actually has nothing to do with Chris Paul, even though I believe that you could check out my column at Bally Sports that I wrote yesterday, where I basically said that Chris Paul was the icing on a very well-made cake. If you remember, DeAndre Ayton was the Phoenix Suns' first overall pick in 2018, and he told the world that he and Devin Booker had the potential to be Shaq and Kobe 2.0. And while they're still not Shaq and Kobe 2.0, I don't remember in recent years, within the last 10 years, where you've seen such a dynamic two-guard or small forward and big man tandem that are doing well, and they get along. I think when you look at the Phoenix Suns, they went from being the opening act in a concert to being the main stage performance in the concert, from the bubble last year where they went 8-0 to now on the precipice of sweeping the Denver Nuggets with their reigning MVP Nikola Jokic. So I'm impressed with that. I believe that when you look at Chris Paul, he has the ability to make young folks better. But really and truly, this team has been a team that's grown every year. Even before Chris Paul got there, guys like Jamal Crawford was a vet that helped mature that team beyond their years. Monty Williams deserves more credit. As much as he was not voted as the coach of the year in the playoffs, he's definitely one of the top coaches. And I like Phoenix. I like what they've been doing. James Jones deserves Executive of the Year for what he's done. Jay Crowder has done this thing. It's a lot of pieces that have fit a puzzle in Phoenix, and I'm pleased to see their results. But you got to finish, as my late grandmother would say, you got to finish what you started. And it starts this evening with Game 4. So it'll be interesting to see if they close it out. And, being down 3-0 was difficult to come back from. So I like Phoenix's odds.
Yeah, it's never happened before. Scoop, are we sure Joel Embiid's meniscus is really torn? Because he looks 100% to me.
It's funny you say that. I spoke with someone within the Sixers organization after Game 1, and they said the same thing to me. Are we sure that this is broken? Are you sure, or did he, or that was torn rather? Are you sure that he didn't just get some low minutes? They were joking, of course, but he's been playing phenomenal basketball. And to be honest with you, if the Sixers are to play the Brooklyn Nets in the conference finals, I think it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a very good series. I think it's what people want to see. I think that if the Nets and the Sixers play in the conference finals, it'll be everything that many people wanted the Western Conference Finals to be with the Lakers and the Clippers, and wasn't. But Joel Embiid is the difference maker for Philadelphia. I like him, but I'll add this. Tobias Harris should have been an all-star. He's proving why in the playoffs alongside Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They are legitimately a big three. don't let anybody tell you anything different. If they tell you different, they're lying. They owe you some money.
You heard it first. Thank you, Brandon Scoop B. Robinson. We appreciate it so much. Enjoy the day
Thank you.
of games today.